We're back now with late-breaking news. The woman convicted of murdering Mexican-American music star Selena has been denied parole.
Selena Quintanilla's story remains one of the most heartbreaking chapters in music history. In the early 1990s, she wasn't just a successful Tejano singer. She had become a cultural icon whose talent, charisma, and determination were opening doors that had long been closed for Latino artists. Fans admired her powerful voice, her unforgettable performances, and the genuine kindness she showed to everyone around her. It seemed as though nothing could stop her rise to worldwide superstardom. Yet on March 31, 1995, everything changed when Selena's life was tragically cut short by Yolanda Saldívar, the woman who had once been one of her closest confidants. Nearly 3 decades later, Saldívar has once again drawn public attention by speaking through a documentary series, reigniting debate about one of music's most tragic crimes. Before exploring these recent developments, it's important to understand how Selena became a legend and how her path crossed with the woman who would forever alter her story. Born on April 16, 1971, in Lake Jackson, Texas, Selena Quintanilla grew up in a family where music was more than entertainment. It was a way of life. Her father, Abraham Quintanilla Jr., had once been a musician himself and quickly realized his youngest daughter possessed extraordinary talent. Even as a little girl, Selena displayed remarkable pitch and rhythm that impressed everyone who heard her sing. Convinced that she had a special gift, Abraham dedicated himself to helping her develop it. In 1980, the Quintanilla family opened a small Tex-Mex restaurant where Selena and her siblings performed for customers. Unfortunately, an economic recession forced the restaurant to close, leaving the family bankrupt and struggling to survive. Rather than giving up, they moved to Corpus Christi, Texas, where Abraham formed the band Selena y Los Dinos. The family performed anywhere they could: street corners, weddings, fairs, and quinceañeras, just to earn enough money for food and fuel. Life was difficult, but every performance strengthened Selena's confidence and sharpened her stage presence. As Selena's popularity increased, balancing school and music became nearly impossible. Her demanding travel schedule forced her to leave traditional schooling during the 8th grade. Although the decision drew criticism from teachers who worried about her education, Selena continued studying independently and eventually earned her high school diploma through correspondence courses. She later pursued business studies, showing that she cared not only about performing, but also about understanding the industry she hoped to dominate one day. The family's old tour bus, affectionately nicknamed Big Bertha, became both their transportation and temporary home. Despite financial hardships, Selena never complained. She continued recording music while traveling constantly with her family. Although she dreamed of recording English-language songs, her father believed Tejano music offered the best opportunity for success. Since Selena had grown up speaking mostly English, she learned Spanish lyrics phonetically with Abraham's guidance, eventually becoming one of the genre's greatest stars. Her perseverance paid off. By the late 1980s, Selena had collected numerous Tejano music awards and established herself as the leading female voice in a genre traditionally dominated by men. Promoters who once insisted that a young woman could never succeed in Tejano music were proven completely wrong. Album after album expanded her audience, and by 1994 she achieved one of the greatest milestones of her career when her live album won the Grammy Award for Best Mexican-American Album. At only 23 years old, she had become the undisputed queen of Tejano music, with an even brighter future seemingly just ahead. While Selena's career soared, another story was quietly unfolding. Yolanda Saldívar initially wasn't even a fan of Selena. According to the source material, she had supported other Tejano performers and reportedly disliked seeing Selena win awards over her favorites. Everything changed after attending one of Selena's concerts in 1991. Captivated by Selena's energy and stage presence, Saldívar became deeply devoted to the singer almost overnight. After failing to find a souvenir following the concert, she decided to establish an official fan club dedicated to promoting Selena throughout San Antonio. Persistent phone calls eventually convinced Abraham Quintanilla to meet with her. Impressed by her enthusiasm, he approved the idea, and Saldívar became the founder and acting president of Selena's fan club. Her responsibilities included organizing memberships, handling merchandise, communicating with fans, and collecting membership fees. What started as a volunteer role quickly evolved into a position of remarkable trust. At first, the arrangement appeared highly successful. The fan club expanded rapidly, offering newsletters, exclusive content, t-shirts, and concert information to thousands of supporters. Much of the money raised supported charitable causes, further strengthening Selena's positive public image. During these early years, Selena's sister Suzette acted as the primary connection between Saldívar and the family because Saldívar rarely interacted directly with Selena herself. That changed toward the end of 1991, when the two women finally met in person and gradually developed what many believed was a genuine friendship. As trust continued to grow, Saldívar became increasingly involved in Selena's business affairs. In 1994, when Selena opened her clothing boutiques in Corpus Christi and San Antonio, Abraham believed Saldívar's organizational skills made her the ideal person to oversee operations. She was appointed boutique manager and later became Selena's agent for business activities in San Antonio. To perform these duties more effectively, Saldívar relocated closer to Selena, giving her daily access to the singer's professional and personal life. With these new responsibilities came extraordinary financial authority. Saldívar gained access to business accounts, handled checks, managed fan club finances, and even received a company credit card for expenses. On the surface, everything appeared normal. Selena trusted her completely, and few people questioned the growing influence Saldívar held within the organization. Behind the scenes, however, employees were beginning to notice troubling behavior. Boutique workers later claimed that Saldívar treated them very differently depending on whether Selena was present. Around Selena, she appeared friendly and supportive, but when Selena left, employees described her as controlling, intimidating, and difficult to work with. Staff members also noticed worsening financial problems. Bills were going unpaid, employees were dismissed without clear reasons, and missing receipts became increasingly common. By late 1994, several workers privately expressed concern that something was seriously wrong, though Selena struggled to believe that someone she trusted so deeply could betray her. As complaints mounted, Abraham Quintanilla grew increasingly suspicious. He warned Selena that Saldívar might not be the loyal friend she believed her to be. Selena, however, remained convinced that misunderstandings and personality conflicts explained the growing tension. She believed loyalty deserved patience, and she continued giving Saldívar opportunities to prove herself. Unfortunately, those warnings would soon become impossible to ignore. As concerns surrounding Yolanda Saldívar continued to grow, Selena's family finally decided to investigate the finances more closely. What they discovered was deeply alarming. Fans had begun contacting Abraham Quintanilla, complaining that they had paid membership fees but never received the merchandise or benefits they had been promised. At the same time, employees from Selena's boutiques reported unpaid bills and financial records that simply didn't add up. The more Abraham examined the accounts, the clearer the situation became. According to the investigation described in the source material, more than $60,000 had allegedly been taken through forged checks connected to both the fan club and Selena's boutiques. On March 9, 1995, Abraham confronted Yolanda in a meeting attended by Selena and Suzette. He presented evidence showing serious financial irregularities and demanded answers. Instead of providing a clear explanation, Yolanda reportedly shifted between silence, emotional outbursts, and vague excuses. She insisted that misunderstandings were to blame, but she could not explain the missing funds or why fans had failed to receive items they had already paid for. The meeting only strengthened the family's suspicions. As Abraham continued digging into the records, more troubling discoveries surfaced. Checks appeared to have been forged, important bank statements had disappeared, and explanations involving mysterious missing deposits raised even more questions. Abraham ultimately concluded that many of Yolanda's stories were fabricated to hide financial misconduct. He ordered her to stay away from Selena and made it clear that she would no longer be welcome around the family's businesses. Despite her father's warnings, Selena found herself caught in an impossible position. She still needed financial documents connected to her expanding clothing business, particularly records relating to operations in Mexico. Hoping to recover those documents peacefully, she remained in contact with Yolanda even after plans had been made to remove her from the company. That decision would have devastating consequences. The source transcript also recounts claims made by Abraham Quintanilla that Yolanda made multiple attempts to lure Selena into isolated meetings before the fatal shooting. It describes Yolanda purchasing and later returning a revolver, arranging private meetings, and repeatedly asking Selena to meet alone while claiming she needed help or had important business documents to hand over. These accounts are presented in the transcript as Abraham's interpretation of events surrounding the days leading up to the tragedy. Everything came to a tragic end on the morning of March 31, 1995. Selena agreed to meet Yolanda once again at the Days Inn in Corpus Christi to retrieve the remaining business documents. Earlier that day, the two women even visited a hospital after Yolanda claimed she had been assaulted during a recent trip. Hospital staff were unable to verify her story, and a nurse later recalled that Selena appeared frustrated by Yolanda's changing explanations. After leaving the hospital, they returned to the motel, where a final confrontation took place inside room 158. Moments later, witnesses heard what sounded like a loud explosion. Selena ran from the room toward the motel lobby, while Yolanda followed behind holding a firearm. Desperately seeking help, Selena collapsed after reaching the lobby. Before losing consciousness, she identified Yolanda Saldívar as the person who had shot her. Despite desperate efforts by medical personnel, Selena was pronounced dead after arriving at the hospital. She was only weeks away from celebrating her 24th birthday. Following the shooting, Yolanda remained in her vehicle during a lengthy standoff with police that lasted several hours before surrendering peacefully. She was later convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Throughout the years that followed, she continued to insist that the shooting had been accidental, a claim that has remained highly controversial and has never changed public opinion regarding her conviction. Although Selena's life ended far too soon, her influence never disappeared. By the age of 23, she had already become one of the biggest stars in Tejano music, building a successful recording career, launching fashion boutiques, expanding into cosmetics, and earning widespread recognition throughout the United States and Latin America. Her albums sold millions of copies, her concerts attracted enormous audiences, and her crossover success suggested that an even greater international career was just beginning. After her passing, Selena's legacy only continued to grow. Her posthumous album Dreaming of You debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, introducing her music to an even larger audience. Countless artists have credited Selena with inspiring their own careers, while fans around the world continue to celebrate her music decades later. Honors such as her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame stand as reminders of the enormous cultural impact she left behind despite her short life. Nearly 30 years after the tragedy, Yolanda Saldívar once again became the focus of public attention through a documentary series in which she claims to reveal previously unknown details about her relationship with Selena. According to the transcript, the announcement sparked immediate backlash from Selena's family and many fans, who argued that the project attempts to profit from Selena's memory rather than contribute meaningful new information. Family members publicly rejected Yolanda's claims, describing them as false and expressing concern that the series could reopen painful wounds for those who continue to mourn Selena's loss. In the documentary, Yolanda argues that she possesses information the public has never heard before and insists that people deserve to know what she describes as the truth. Critics, however, question why any alleged evidence or recordings were not introduced during the original legal proceedings decades earlier. For many observers, the conviction, the evidence presented at trial, and the lasting pain experienced by Selena's loved ones remain far more significant than any new claims made years later. The debate surrounding the documentary has therefore centered less on what Yolanda says and more on whether the project should exist at all. Nearly 3 decades later, Selena Quintanilla's name continues to represent talent, determination, and inspiration. Her music still reaches new generations, her performances remain unforgettable, and her influence continues to shape Latin music across the world. While renewed attention on Yolanda Saldívar may generate headlines, Selena's enduring legacy remains the story that has truly stood the test of time. That is why, even today, Millions remember not the woman who ended her life, but the extraordinary artist whose voice continues to live on.